We are putting a lot of time and energy into it, and I believe you're going to be pleased with the outcomes that we're already seeing. And with me this evening, I'm only speaking for a very short period of time. Instead, the folks doing the work hands-on are here to share their stories with you. And that is Kenya Perez, our HR technician, and Carlene Lawson, our HR business partner. Next slide, Kenya. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to open up with a one slide ripped from the headlines on what our labor situation looks like in Portland. And I'm sure that all of you are aware that it is not looking good. So we'll briefly touch on that before to basically frame the discussion on why is this so critically important from multiple views. Then Kenya is going to lead us with Carlene in recruitment and selection, and then also in flexible work solutions. Next slide. So in preparation for this, I actually have about 30 tabs on my phone and then bookmarked in my Google Chrome on just all of the statistics around the quit rate, the great resignation that we're seeing, the labor shortage, the different methods that employers in both the public and private sectors are utilizing to try to attract talent. And in large part failing. So as you can see, this is just an unprecedented time of, we have a large number of vacancies and a lot of people have made a choice due a multitude of reasons, but we really think due to burnout during the pandemic, that they are no longer interested in traditional work. And that is potentially a societal change that will be a lasting pivot in how we all approach our relationship with employment, or it could be a temporary measure, and we just don't know what that is. Instead, what we're doing is focusing on what can we do now, as well as looking toward the future of how can we make the experience of working at THPRD a wonderful one so that people want to work here. So we're looking at not just compensation, not just at the recruitment process, not just at benefits and flexible work schedules, but also on what is our value proposition and how are we positioning ourselves with the people who really want to work here. We could potentially benefit from the Great Resignation. Folks who don't want to work in an office on a 9-to-5, perhaps in their portfolio of gig economy, might also choose to take a part-time position with us. So there may also be opportunities here. All right, and with that, I am going to hand off to Carlene Lawson, our HR business partner.
Thank you, Christine. So as Christine mentioned, I'm Carlene Lawson, and I'm one of the district's HR coordinators, our business partners. I've been with the district for about 7 years and have had the pleasure of partnering with staff across the district to disrupt our recruitment and selection process. So again, as Christine mentioned, the struggle to attract and retain candidates is not just a challenge that THPRD faces. And we are working creatively with our hiring officials to find ways that reduce barriers that may exist within the recruitment and selection process to create a more inclusive process. So later in the presentation, Kenya is going to share a few examples of recent recruitments where changing our process yielded positive outcomes. And then, representation really does matter. And we're continuing to work through the lens that people of different backgrounds, cultures, and abilities help us serve our community better. And over the last year, the district staffing team has produced several tools and resources ranging from step-by-step guides to micro trainings offered to our hiring officials to support them in their journey and disrupting the recruitment and selection process here at THPRD. One of the trainings that was offered included the following video that we would like to share with you. I apologize for his face also. It's a little clumpy, but I promise it's great.
It's basically a one-sided, high-pressure interrogation, almost guaranteed to create significant psychological strain. Ironically, such stressful procedures can totally obscure a person's true potential, causing us to overlook a lot of people who could be great employees. We need a different way to interview and screen candidates, one that will reveal hidden potential and talent. 12 years ago, I founded CY, an outsourced call center staffed and managed entirely by underdogs. More than half of our hundreds of employees are severely disabled. Others come from other disadvantaged populations or just suffer from anxiety, low self-esteem, and lack of confidence. The problem I needed to solve when we started out was that traditional interviewing and screening, especially for entry-level positions, are totally biased towards people who function well under intense stress. Now, if you're screening for Navy SEALs, I totally get it. But the capacity to function under duress is totally irrelevant if the actual job is stocking shelves or folding T-shirts, unless, of course, it's Black Friday. Clara is a classic example. We met in CY's early days while she was waiting for her job interview. Clara was 25 years old, had cerebral palsy, and used a walker. She seemed quite nervous, but she was likable, intelligent, and talkative. And yet, just a short while later, her interviewer told me that she had totally failed, that she couldn't string two words together. The screening philosophy of let's pick our employees by viewing them at their worst not only overlooks disabled people, but anyone whose shine is diminished under harsh pressure. We developed the reverse screening process to find potential. And as the name implies, we go about things practically the opposite way traditional approaches do. In a nutshell, if you want to assess a candidate's true potential, see how they function at their best, not their worst, which for most of us is when we're calm and relaxed, not stressed and anxious. So build screening procedures specifically tailored to help candidates feel as emotionally comfortable as possible. 3 examples how you can achieve that. Lower anxiety and insecurity. Start out by losing the whole interrogation vibe. Rather, interviewers should view themselves as hosts, be friendly and welcoming. Choose an environment that's conducive to putting a candidate at ease, like making your interview room look like a living room. People are most confident discussing things about which they are knowledgeable and passionate. So we ask candidates to fill out a short questionnaire about their hobbies, and we start out the interview by discussing those, so that candidates can bring forth their verbal skills, strengths, and personality. Assess skills in everyday life situations with which the candidates are familiar. For instance, sales positions require the ability to use persuasion. So ask the candidate to role-play how they would persuade a neighbor to pay an extra maintenance fee for the renovations of their lobby. Looking for tough, full-throttle negotiations? Ask the candidate to describe how they would persuade a teenager to not look at their phone during a family dinner. Help them move beyond the stuck points to see how they adapt and learn. In the reverse screening process, we offer candidates 3 lifelines. We call it, who wants to be an employee? If the candidate asks for a hint, the interviewer will model a few correct arguments and ask the candidate to role-play the scenario to see how convincingly they absorb and convey those points. Finding people's true potential makes for happier, more diverse, and more successful companies and employees. Remember Clara? We hired her. She gradually improved until she hit her targets of calls per hour, and then she kept on getting better. And nowadays, Clara gives talks about how many years ago, no one, including herself, believed she had any potential at all. A job is so much more than a paycheck, especially for marginalized populations. By finding and hiring those you might otherwise overlook, you will not only benefit your own company, you will literally transform people's lives. The opportunity to win with underdogs is all around you. Make sure to grab it.
Such a great video. So additional trainings that were developed by members of the staffing team included bias awareness, creating an inclusive recruitment and hiring process, designing panel interviews, job posting and supplemental questions, as well as how to use our pay equity calculator for part-time staff. And the micro trainings were presented by Karen Monday, Kristen Smith, and myself, who were also members of the staffing team. So in the next slide, Kenya Perez, our HR tech, will share some recent recruitments that supported the work of disrupting the hiring process.
So, hello. As Carlene mentioned, I'm Kenya Perez. I am the Human Resources Technician at THPRD, and I am super, super grateful to have the opportunity to be of service at THPRD. I moved up here and joined the district last November, and I am so excited to share some of the cool things that we're doing to incorporate our DEIA values into our recruitment and selection process. So an example of how we are disrupting our recruitment process is by testing our candidates early in the recruitment process. With collaborative efforts between Human Resources and Mark Pierce, the Safety Services lead recruitment involved a group presentation practical assessment. Candidates were required to create a presentation on how to manage patrons who are emotionally charged while with appropriate de-escalation techniques and describe the value of incorporating DEIA in their role. The remainder of the candidates served as audience members at Mountain View Champions Park. Candidates were scored based on their presentations and engagement as an audience member. Mark Pierce found this process extremely useful to get a read of the candidates' DEIA values and concepts. They appreciated the different components at play, such as families playing on the playground and being surrounded by other candidates. So our recruitment processes continue to develop as we get to collaborate with more of our hiring managers. We are dedicating our efforts to create a welcoming and inclusive hiring practices and to ensure our employees represent our community. From our park maintenance specialist posting in May of 2021, we recruited 2 highly qualified candidates, one of which was a current part-time employee at THPRD. In August, with the support of John Campbell, Mike Serro, and Troy Shader, we had the opportunity to repost the position and update our posting language to state that we prefer Vietnamese and Spanish-speaking candidates, THPRD and former and current employees, and our veterans. We saw a 37% increase in our Hispanic candidates. With collaborative efforts, we are developing a SurveyMonkey for our candidates and will be providing office hours to provide technical support to them. The final step in the process will be a practical assessment that serves to measure the candidate's qualifications to do the job as opposed to measuring their interview skills. Arlene.
Thank you, Kenya. So the Recreation Services Department recently had a recruitment for office tech, and they really did a great job of disrupting the interview process. You'll notice that some of these themes are somewhat similar to the video that we just saw. So candidates were asked to prepare talking points based on core duties and values of the position, such as leadership, organization and building processes, programming, and diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. Each candidate was asked to essentially kind of lead the conversation with our hiring officials. This was in a comfortable environment at our LC Store Center. And if any of you have been to our beautiful LC Store Center, the front lobby is quite comfortable. And so each of our candidates had an opportunity to share how they would contribute to a team and execute the job as an office tech based on the talking points that were given. And while it has been our standard practice to provide candidates with questions in advance for quite some time, the shift from the standard question and answer format that we've done historically was shifted to the new conversation type setting. And feedback was really positive from both our candidates and also our hiring officials. So I wanted to provide a huge kudos and shout out to Emily Kent, the center supervisor at the Garden Home Recreation Center, and also at the LC Store Center, and Kathy Ellis, center supervisor at Conestoga Recreation and Aquatic Center. From this process, we selected 2 longtime part-time employees and 1 full-time staff member. In the next slide, Christine is going to share the district's flexible work solutions program.
All right, so once we put in all this effort to find amazing people, then we really want to keep them. And as I'm sure all of you know, flexibility is just that is the big theme of what we're seeing right now, that desire for flexibility. And in some cases, people are being really upfront, not here, but what I'm hearing through HR colleagues and seeing, as I'm sure you all do on the papers, people are quitting rather than return to the office. Right, next slide, please. So I'm only speaking right now on behalf of Brianna Doherty, who is unable to be with us. She is our part-time HR analyst who really had a passion for this project, and she facilitated the work of, we were very flexible during the pandemic from a position of concern, as well as a position of we were prohibited from being in the office. So we had some great lessons learned that things were possible that we weren't sure were. We also had a large number of employees and supervisors asking, well, this is great. What happens when things go back to normal? So that was the interest that was identified. RANA then facilitated a staff engagement process that included anonymous surveys, voluntary participation in focus groups that were differentiated from staff and supervisors, leadership team. And the really interesting thing there was that there was very little difference in opinion, which was really exciting. That is something that does happen in other organizations, that there's a schism there. Here, there was a lot of common ground. We also did a peer agency review, and I'm pleased to report that we are at the leading edge in our peer agencies on providing flexibility and looking at the employee's whole life and trying to meet those interests. We also included stakeholder input. We have administrative departments, risk management, payroll, information technology that are stakeholders in this process because they have a role to play in keeping folks safe and making sure they have the resources they need to be able to do their job and being sure that we are still complying with wage and hours, including our meal and rest breaks. So then there was the engagement with the management team, our leadership team, and our THPRD Employees Association. So with that, I am going to hand off to Kenya for some employee success stories.
Okay, so we recently reached out to a few of our flexible work schedule friends. Tanya Matsuri is our operations analyst. They began at the district in February of 2021 and has been fully remote since. They shared working a flexible schedule has decreased their stress in the morning and eliminated their commute to work. Tanya shared they enjoy pouring themselves a cup of coffee in the morning and beginning the workday in a quiet environment. David Thames, our procurement administrator, enjoys walking their 2 dogs during lunchtime. They've eliminated the traffic stress and wear and tear of their vehicle. David appreciates that they're able to cook healthy meals at home during lunchtime. And our awesome grant specialist, Cindy Dower, is a mom to a 5-year-old who starts kindergarten soon. They enjoy being able to work before their son wakes up in the morning, get them ready for the day, and return to their work projects. They find that their schedule promotes a work-life balance, and they're able to keep up with household stressors such as loading dishes in the dishwasher and doing laundry during the day. Sarah Rockwell is our part-time recruitment assistant and a proud mama to a 3-year-old boy. Sarah works a hybrid schedule, and they value that their schedule is flexible enough to allow them to adjust for their child's need. They shared their child is thriving, their family unit is stronger, and that without THPRD support of their schedule, they would have not been able to work during the pandemic. So we noticed a few reoccurring themes when reaching out to these employees. I'm super excited to share that they all express they are saving money, promoting their health, lowering their stress, and feel included as a parent in the workforce. These are just a few of our experiences that align with our philosophy to be flexible and work with employees to say yes to flexible work solutions while meeting THPRD's operational needs.
And that wraps us up.
Thank you for a great presentation. We have 10 minutes for if anybody has any comments or questions. Felicita?
Just a really big thank you. And to me, this is so exciting and thoughtful. And, the flexible work schedule is so critical. we don't have universal childcare in this country. So we need to do what we can to ensure that we empower parents and that we keep awesome parents that are our employees. And while no one touched upon this in the four folks that you highlighted, like elder care is very much a reality for not only our employees, but like our patrons too, right? And it's just, that is a significant challenge, and I would hate to lose a great staffer because of those barriers. So I'm just really excited that we're able to offer that flexibility to so many. And I love how y'all are thinking thoughtfully about how to make the interview process less traumatic, because we've all been on the other side and it can be really awful and we don't shine. So just, I really love this work. Thanks so much.
Heidi?
Oh, repeat of what Felicita said. And on top of that, very appreciative of reevaluating the interview, that recruitment process and what an interview is. It doesn't need to be the standard interview we've all come to know, which is nerve-wracking. And especially as we are looking to recruit, diversify our staffing and recruitment, that's critical. So I thank you for that. And I know that will go a long way in our commitment to DEIA. I do have a quick question related to our part-time temporary staff. I'm curious if there's opportunities such as career development, sort of getting to know our part-time staff as they relate to THPRD and what their interests are long-term. Like they may be a lifeguard now part-time, but really would like to work their way into programming or other things. Do we have a part-time development plan for folks? If anybody can speak to that.
So I can jump in, and then other folks are welcome to add on to that. So, hey, that is absolutely something that we've done really well in the past. That a lot of our employees who and their careers here after 40 years began as part-time employees who were developed through their supervisor and through their time here at THPRD. It's something that has been more informal, and we are interested in making that a little bit more robust. And as part of that, spoiler alert, the EPIC EST team, it has had review by our management team for the employee engagement survey, which you may remember is a triennial survey every 3 years. I just love that word. So that is going to go out soon, and we are including more questions for our part-time staff specifically on what it is that they value and what are they looking for at THPRD.
Great, I'm happy to hear that. And I would just advocate for really continuing to focus on our temporary and part-time employees. You know, not all of them want to be permanent full-time, but those who do, I mean, the time and effort and the money and time we've invested in bringing them into the organization, it's a great loss when we lose those folks. So I'm happy to hear that there'll be more efforts for that. And I'll continue to strongly advocate for that because I think they're just a body of employees that we really thrive from. So thank you. Thank you for your work and your team.
Alfredo?
Hi, thank you for all this great information. I just wanted to say big kudos on the innovation that I'm seeing. I think it's just in these times with the labor shortages, even your government organizations, bureaucracies have to operate nimbly with kind of a private sector style of innovation throughout the interview process, the hiring process. And certainly the things that you touched on with workplace flexibility, the organizations that are able to kind of infuse their values from the very start of the hiring process all the way through the final round. These are the ones that are going to come through this, are going to be able to thrive with that, where others, if they're not able to get to change the way they've always done things, are going to have a harder time onboarding new and diverse talent. They're going to miss out on people, frankly. So thank you for helping the district to get out in front of this and to continue pushing the envelope a little bit in terms of innovative ways to bring new voices and fresh talent onto the team. So thanks.
Thank you. And this is an HR update. I'm super grateful for Kenya and Carlene's chance to get in front of you and share the work they're doing. But I also want to highlight that the reason that their presentation focused on the case studies and of the employees is because this is not really an HR update. This is a district update. It is every person at the district, the leadership team, the management team, the frontline supervisors who are all engaged in this work and are doing this work and are committed to doing the work.
Barbie, did you have anything at all?
Just to share my appreciation, I think it's my fellow folks have already said my thoughts. So again, we're living in this. I'm a perfect example myself, right? I've not been back to my office in 18 months. And I've got new folks who I've not even met yet. So except for on the screen like this. So to echo everyone's sentiments here, I mean, just a tremendous amount of work to be able to pivot and to figure out ways to disrupt the hiring process and all of this. So in times that are so challenging, just an immense amount of gratitude.
And I will echo everything that the board is saying. What we do and what you guys have done is amazing work. Having the multi-layer of different interviewing techniques, I think just is able to pick up on all those different people, finding self-presentations for those who have confidence in researching and needing that information, role-playing, team interaction. I think that will just, we're able to find people who can shine and who excel in one place but may not do another, but we can find their strengths and weaknesses, and it's just wonderful. I love the emphasis on language. Like when you walk into Home Depot, they say like, what languages are spoken here? And different stores are just like that. And I would love to see that and have us just have every location that we have be able to speak multiple languages all at one time. So, and I think that really helps with our DIA diverse hiring and everything like that. So if I that part just really spoke to me. So thank you so much for you guys. Is there any last minute questions from the team?
You know, if I could make one comment, Tia, is really acknowledging that this kind of work, this work is infectious. It as you push down into the organization, if it's healthy, pushes back up, and we find our way. And when we use terminology like disrupting the hiring process, believe me, it enables conversations. People ask, I don't understand. I thought you wanted to hire people. Why would you disrupt it? It's like, because it's broken. And we have conversations. And that's the way we grow. So it's really pretty amazing work by staff. Very pleased.
Lots of claps all around to the team. Okay, so we have 1 minute if you guys want a potty break and then go to the next meeting. We will see you there. Thank you.
Thank you.